For demo number 3, we will be presenting on the spinal meninges and their structure and function. This presentation is brought to you by Caitlin McCoy, Carissa Kolpeck, and Virginia Grayway. In this presentation, Virginia will first talk about the structure of spinal meninges. Caitlin will then talk about the function of the spinal meninges, and then Carissa will talk about the types of injuries.
The meninges are found in the brain and spinal cord. In both the brain and spinal cord, there are 3 layers. The first and most outer layer is the dura mater. Dura mater is Latin for tough mother, and this is the toughest layer of the meninges. The second layer is the arachnoid layer, and this is known for its trabeculae that make bridges with the pia mater. The arachnoid mater's trabeculae look like spider legs, and that's why it's called the arachnoid mater. The next layer and last one is the pia mater. The pia mater is Latin for soft mother, and this is the thinnest layer and also the most close to the spinal column. As shown in the video, there are 2 types of meninges in the brain and in the spinal cord. The pictures are shown here, and you can see them for yourself. One important point to note, though, is that although the spinal cord goes to L1, stops around L1 or L2, the spinal meninges extend all the way to S2, so well beyond the spinal cord. This leaves an area where there's only meninges and cerebral spinal fluid and no spinal cord. The dura mater has 2 layers in the brain, the periosteal and the meningeal layer, but only the meningeal layer continues through the foramen magnum and surrounds the spinal cord. The meningeal layer of the dura mater is a durable, dense, fibrous membrane that contains large blood vessels and is connected to the epineuron of various efferent nerves that leave the skull. It is composed of fibroblasts and dense interlacing bundles of collagen and elastic fibers. In the spine, the epidural space, superficial to the dura mater, holds adipose tissue and serves as a cushion for the spinal cord. The dura mater itself is loosely attached. Next, the second layer, the arachnoid mater, passes through the foramen magnum and descends caudally to the S2 vertebral level. Loosely applied to the dura mater, it is separated from the pia mater by this subarachnoid space. It is composed of collagen and elastic fibers. It has varied degrees of thickness as well. The outer dural aspect is smooth, while the inner pial aspect is where the trabeculae emerge to bridge the subarachnoid space. The outer layer is made of electrolucent cells that are flat and impermeable to cerebrospinal fluid due to the intercellular junctions. The innermost portion of the arachnoid layer is the arachnoid reticular cell layer that is made of loosely arranged cells anchored by desmosomes to the inner aspect of the arachnoid barrier cell layer. The third and final layer is the pia mater of the spine. It is comprised of collagen and reticular fibers. The reticular tissue is wrapped closely around the spinal cord and passes posteriorly into the anterior median fissure, where the vessels of the spinal cord are found. The outer layer has several layers of pia cells and is called the epiphyseal layer. This layer is thicker in the spinal cord than it is in the brain. The other layer that is closer to the spinal cord is called the pia intima. This layer is made of 1 layer of pia cells and collagen fibers.
All right, so we went over the structure of the meninges. Now we'll talk a little about the function. The spinal meninges' primary function is to protect and support the central nervous system with its 3 layers that we already talked about: dura mater, arachnoid mater, and pia mater. Next, we will go over the 3 layers and their kind of specific functions that help protect the central nervous system. First, we have the dura mater function, which is the outermost layer. The dura mater function as the protective layer when the spinal nerves exit the vertebral canal. The dura mater then fuses with the epineurium, which is the connective tissue that covers the peripheral nerves. This fusion of the dura mater and the epineurium ensure that the spinal nerve is fully protected along the entire pathway. Next, we have the arachnoid mater function. The arachnoid mater is the middle layer, and it lies next to the dura mater, but it is separated from the pia mater by the subarachnoid space. This space allows for a pathway for nerves and blood vessels. The arachnoid space is filled with cerebrospinal fluid. The cerebrospinal fluid is important because 1. It acts as a protective layer and cushion for the central nervous system. 2. It supplies nutrients to the central nervous system tissue. And 3. It removes waste from cerebral metabolism. The arachnoid granulations, which are the stringy projections, remove the cerebral spinal fluid and the waste it collects and returns it to the venous system. Finally, we have the pia mater and its function. In the spine, the pia mater is comprised of 2 thin layers. The outer layer consists of collagen fibers, while the inner layer encases the spinal cord, nerve roots, and their blood vessels for protection. The pia mater thickens to form dentaticulate ligaments. These ligaments attach to the arachnoid mater, which suspends the spinal cord in the vertebral canal and adds to cushion and protection. The pia mater also contains a vast supply of blood vessels to deliver nutrients to the central nervous tissues. Without this blood supply, the tissue in the central nervous system could die and could cause a decrease of function, paralysis, or even death. All right, so now we're going to go over kind of what we just talked about and summarize it in one kind of photo. So here is the dura mater in the purple. That is the outermost protective layer, and it fuses with the epineurium. And then the epineurium is the connective tissue that covers the peripheral nerves. So when they fuse like this, it covers the nerve along the whole pathway. Then we have the arachnoid mater, which is in the red. Here are the arachnoid granulations that remove the cerebrospinal fluid from the arachnoid space, which is the space that you can find here because the arachnoid mater lies right next to the dura mater, but there is a space between the arachnoid mater and the pia mater, which is the subarachnoid space, which is where the cerebrospinal fluid kind of lives. And then finally, there is the pia mater, which is kind of in this orange. This encases the spinal cord, the nerve roots, and their blood vessels for the final layer of protection.
Now we'll be talking about the different types of injuries to spinal meninges. The first common injury of spinal meninges is our spinal meningitis, or also known as meningitis. This is the inflammation of meninges that surround the spinal cord and brain. There are several different types known as the viral meningitis and bacterial meningitis and meningococcal meningitis. As seen in the picture, this is bacterial meningitis. If severe, meningitis can lead to encephalitis, which is the inflammation of the brain itself. This can cause stroke, hearing loss, and brain damage. Another type of injury to spinal meninges are spinal cord injuries, which are trauma or significant impact to the vertebral column, which affects the spinal cord's ability to send and receive messages for sensory and motor function. Spinal cord injuries cause compression of the spinal cord against the meninges, resulting in a compartment-like syndrome, as you can see in the picture to the right there. These are our references, and thank you. Thank you for watching.